Hello everyone, welcome to Module 9 of Climate Change course. In this module, we will discuss about climate change mitigation, including some mitigating strategy and relevant issue. So in general, you will learn about climate change mitigation and related concepts, which include low carbon development and green economic. And you will also learn about the available approach and strategic framework for climate change mitigation, as well as key sectors with high mitigation potential and the available mitigation option. So by the end of this module, you should be able to explain relevant concepts of climate mitigation and its importance, describe the available approach and strategic framework for climate change mitigation, and identify relevant mitigation options for specific sector and case. So now let's start with the definition of climate change mitigation. According to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change mitigation refers to the effort to reduce or prevent emission of greenhouse gas or to enhance their removal from the atmosphere by sink. So basically, we can say that climate change mitigation is whatever action, measurement, or policy that aim to minimize the increasing rate of atmospheric greenhouse gas. And the primary goal of climate change mitigation is to allow ecosystem to adapt with climate variation and ensure that food production and economic development can proceed in a sustainable manner. So why it is important to mitigate climate change, or in the other word, why we need to minimize the increasing rate of atmospheric greenhouse gas. So we have learned from the previous module that increasing atmospheric greenhouse gas will encourage global warming phenomena, which threaten the natural environment and also our socio-economic development. So according to many studies, to ensure the sustainability of ecosystem as well as our socio-economic development, global warming needs to be maintained below the threshold value of 2 degrees Celsius, because beyond that threshold value, the impact on ecosystem might be irreversible. Somehow, according to various climate projection results, for example, as you can see in this figure, without proper mitigation action such as under the RCP 6.0 and 8.5 scenario, global warming rate will be surely surpass the threshold values. So therefore, to protect our ecosystem as well as to maintain our socio-economic development, various mitigation actions need to be implemented. To be able to maintain global warming rate below the threshold of 2 degrees Celsius, the commitment from global community on mitigating action to cut down greenhouse gas emissions is needed. According to the International Panel on Climate Change, in order to have a greater chance, 2 in 3 chance of keeping global warming below 2 degrees Celsius, cumulative emission of carbon dioxide must not exceed 1,000 gigatons of carbon. Somehow, as of 2011, more than half of this amount has already been emitted into the atmosphere. So we need, if we consider this figure with the effect of other greenhouse gas, it is clear that our remaining carbon budget is less than 500 gigatons. And with current annual emission rate of about 9.5 gigatons, and its increasing pattern due to the population growth and economic development, this remaining carbon budget will be exhausted in the next 3 decades. So this is why we need to have an effective and immediate mitigation action. This slide presents some related concepts that are frequently discussed whenever climate change mitigation is concerned. So first, mitigation option. In terms of climate change, mitigation option refer to any technology, practice, or policy that lead to reduce or limit greenhouse gas emission or increase their sequestration. For example, design or energy efficient building, wetland management to enhance carbon sink, and so on. And in general, mitigation options can vary greatly from one country to the other. and need to be adapted to a specific national circumstance. Then the low carbon development refers to the concept of economic development with minimal output of greenhouse gas emission, or economic growth with less carbon. This generally achieves through the integration of various mitigation options. And on the other hand, the green economy refers to the environmentally friendly economic system, which lead to reduced greenhouse gas emission, but also cover other socio-environmental issues which are not directly related to climate. For example, the case of ecotourism development, it provides both benefit for socio-economic development and climate change mitigation. Now let's move on to the available technological option for climate change mitigation, which in particular we will discuss about the option to deal with CO2 emission. So in general, the technological option for reducing CO2 emission include the option that aim at reducing and phasing out the use of fossil fuel, substituting the carbon-intensive fuel with less carbon-intensive one, replacing fossil fuel technology with near-zero carbon alternative, enhancing the absorption of atmospheric CO2 by natural system, as well as capturing and safe storage of atmospheric carbon, which combined can be referred as carbon sequestration. The term carbon sequestration is used to describe both natural and deliberate process by which CO2 is either removed from the atmosphere or diverted from emission source and stored in the ocean, terrestrial environment such as vegetation, soil, and sediment, and also the geologic formation. So in general, carbon sequestration can be divided as biotic sequestration or abiotic sequestration. For the biotic sequestration, the atmospheric CO2 is removed from the atmosphere by biological process, for example, by photosynthesis process by plant. So, therefore, biotic sequestration can be enhanced by a good state of ecosystem, such as forest and wetland and coastal ecosystem. On the other hand, for the biotic sequestration, removing of atmospheric CO2 is done by physical, chemical, and geological process, which can happen naturally and also can be done by human intervention, including various technology of carbon capture and storage. Now let's discuss a bit more detail about available mitigation option and technology. Everyone knows that the anthropogenic greenhouse gases are emitted from every sector, but the emission rate varies significantly between sectors. Based on the International Panel on Climate Change Assessment Report, the top 4 economic sectors with high emission rate include electricity and heat production, agriculture, forestry, and other type of land use, industry, and also transport sector. So basically, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will discuss in detail about the mitigation potential for these 4 sectors, as well as the mitigation opportunity for waste sector, which also found to provide significant impact on limiting greenhouse gas emission. Let's begin with the energy sector. So the energy supply sector, especially for electricity and heat energy, is the largest contributor to global greenhouse gas emission, with the annual emission rate increased quite rapidly due to economic growth and the associated demand for electric power, heat, and transport service. So to mitigate climate change, reducing the amount of greenhouse gas emitted from energy sector is very crucial. So in general, the more effective way to reduce greenhouse gas emission from energy sector is to decrease fossil fuel consumption, which can be achieved by a wide variety of options, including increased use of renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and bioenergy, improve the efficiency of energy conversion, transport, and use, switch to less carbon-intensive fossil fuel, switch to less energy consumption economics, and technological approach such as combined heat and power system, and also carbon capture and storage. For transport sector, the main challenge include high consumption of liquid fossil fuel, growing emission, as well as chronic traffic congestion in the urban area. Key mitigation methods that have been developed in the transport sector include technologies such as the invention of more fuel-efficient vehicles and the use of alternative energy sources such as biofuel, cleaner diesel, and solar fuel. And also policy intervention, which help to increase more affordable public transport to reduce the number of private vehicles, improvement of land use and transport planning to reduce chronic traffic jam, and encourage non-motorized vehicles by providing more cycling lane and walking way. For construction or building sector, a wide range of mitigation options are available. For example, in the developing country, the opportunity for mitigate emission from building sector can be achieved mainly through retrofitting existing building by improving insulation and using more efficient electrical appliance, as well as using a smart meter to control and provide feedback on energy consumption. On the other hand, for the developing country, where construction of new building is still in a great need, there is a great potential to reduce energy demand by green building design, such as a design that introduces more efficient lighting and daylighting, and also the integrated design to include alternative source of energy and control technology, which include intelligent meter and automated lighting. Also, the use of solar photovoltaic system. For industry sector, because industry consists of a large variety of activity, which involve thousands of different processes that are often site-specific in design, mitigation options for industry sector also require a more focus on options for specific type of industry. But in general, mitigation measures for industrial sector can range from process-specific technology that improve efficiency and reduce emission, to a better use of material and recycling, cogeneration and recovery of resource power, and control of greenhouse gas emission, for example, by the carbon capture and storage technology. For agricultural sector, the agricultural sector faces a complicated and intertwined challenge. So generally, it needs to ensure food security, adapt to the impact of climate change, and also mitigate its contribution to greenhouse gas emission at the same time. In terms of mitigating greenhouse gas emission, two types of action can be done for this sector. This includes the using or avoiding emission and creating carbon sink or improvement of carbon sequestration capacity. So for instance, to reduce emission from farming system, several means are available, including managing of manure and livestock to reduce methane emission, and optimize use of fertilizer to reduce nitrous oxide emission. Then in terms of carbon sink, different mitigation options that are available include the increasing biomass by incorporating tree and bus into farming system, as well as increasing the carbon content of soil through the restoration of degraded soil, especially in grassland and pasture area, to increase carbon sequestration rate. Along with what we have just discussed, the Food and Agricultural Organization have also introduced the Climate Smart Agriculture Program, which generally aim to secure food production, enhance adaptation to climate change impact, as well as contribute to mitigate greenhouse gas emission from agricultural activity. So under this program, many policy tools and practical guides which focus on improvement of different type and context of agricultural practice are provided, together with some example study. So if you are interested, you may want to search through their website to get more knowledge on each specific tool and policy. Then for forestry sector, reducing deforestation, establishing a forest where there was no forest before, and restoring the depleted forest are the prime mitigation options that can be applied. And in addition, reinforcing sustainable forest management policy is also a crucial tool to mitigate climate change in forest sector. For instance, improving forest management can help to reduce deforestation, prevent illegal logging, secure tree species which are the most effective carbon sink, and also provide other ancillary benefit. For waste sector, mitigation of greenhouse gas emission can be done by applying technologies such as landfill methane oxidation and recovery, waste incineration with energy recovery, composting of organic waste, control wastewater treatment, as well as waste recycle and minimization. So for landfill methane recovery, it is generally a dual-purpose technology. It is not only contribute to reduce methane emission from landfill, but also enable methane recovery to be used to generate electricity. And similarly, mitigation technologies such as waste incineration with energy recovery and composting of organic waste are also methods with double purpose, which can provide energy along with other benefits. Somehow they are more applicable at household level. Now let's move on to discuss a little bit more about low carbon development. So we have seen earlier in this lecture that low carbon development or low emission development refer to the concept of economic development with minimal output of greenhouse gas emission. So in that sense, low carbon development is seen to be an important climate change mitigating strategy for both national and global level. But the problem is how we can achieve it. So presenting in this slide are the three main important requirements that need to be followed in order to achieve low carbon development goals. This includes new political thinking toward less carbon-intensive economic development, more resource-efficient pattern of consumption and production to enhance energy efficiency, as well as incentive to redirect investment flow toward a more sustainable development activity. For example, clean production technology, renewable energy, and sustainable management of soil, water, and agriculture, and so on. Practical way to accomplish low carbon development goal is to have a proper strategy or a proper low emission development strategy, which in short we can call LEAD. A LEAD is a national, high-level, comprehensive, and long-term strategy that aim at decoupling socio-economic development from greenhouse gas emission. So basically, LEAD is a policy instrument. So in order to be effective and relevant, a LEAD should be built upon and influence the existing national strategy, including the National Development Plan, Poverty Reduction Strategy, and also Sectoral Development Plan. Implementation of LEAD can be done by various mechanisms, as you can see in this slide. So for instance, the market-based mechanism are some policy instruments that measure emission in terms of monetary value. For example, the emission trading scheme that serve to establish a threshold of allowable emission rate and create market price for greenhouse gas emission. Then the financial incentive method is another kind of LEAD tool that discourages greenhouse gas emissions through the program like subsidize and provide access to capital for less emission development projects. For example, startup and development of renewable energy and clean energy technology. On the other hand, fiscal instrument is a type of policy instrument that follow the polluter pay principle, for which manufacturer and investor must take responsibility for their emission. For example, they have to pay for their emissions through tax and tariff. Then, in addition to the three mechanisms, LEAD can also be done by other instruments such as support research and development of low carbon development technology, establishment of environmental standard, investing in appropriate skill development, by training workers in renewable energy sector and another mean of low carbon development strategy and so on. So now we have reached the end of the module. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and by this point, you should have learned that climate change mitigation refers to the effort to reduce greenhouse gas emission or to enhance their removal from the atmosphere. And generally, climate change mitigation action not only help to mitigate greenhouse gas emission, but also bring various cost benefits for the environment, economic, and social system. Mitigation to climate change can be done in all economic sectors and at all scales, but the key economic sectors with biggest mitigation potential are the energy, industry, transport, agriculture, forestry, and waste sector. The action or policy to mitigate climate change need to be integrated with broader development goal and plan in order to achieve the low carbon development goal. So have a nice day, and I will see you again in the next module.